Welcome to this online training video for the Get Set workshop. Firstly, thank you so much for being willing to be able to help with the workshops. It's really appreciated and we couldn't do it without you. The hope and the aim of this video is just that it will help you feel a little bit more prepared when we go into the schools and deliver the workshop. So as we prepare for the Get Set workshops, I just want to take a moment to remind us the why. Why is it important and why are we doing this? Well, we are helping to equip these children with skills, with tools and techniques to help them make that transition from primary school to secondary school. We know that it's something that a number of them are worried about, that some of them feel daunted by. But just by doing these workshops, we're just allowing them that space, that time to be able to think it through, to give them those techniques that are going to help them, that are going to help build that resilience as they make that move. We're able to build relationships with them, we're able to build that relationship with the teachers, the school, with other staff as well. And we are able to be that face that those children see in year 6 and then they see again in year 7, so having that continuity. And importantly, we're able to go on this journey with the children. So the first activity that we're going to do with them is a test. Now we know that they are preparing for their SATs and perhaps some of them are worried about them, but actually this activity, this test, is a bit of fun. And actually if the students read the instruction first, then actually they don't have to do anything. So it's about learning from the test and the importance of reading the questions carefully. So the main aim of the Get Set workshop is to build upon the 3 R's that we introduced in On Your Marks. So that was responsibility, resilience and role model. So we want to get the children in this workshop thinking about what does that look like practically in their lives. What does it look like for them to be responsible? What does it look like for them to be resilient? And what does it look like for them to be a good role model? So they have around 6 months left in year 6 now, so they're going to be thinking about getting ready. And so the starter question that's going to be asked to us all is, what is the first thing that you do in the morning to get ready for the day? So for me, the first thing I do in the mornings to get ready is have a cup of tea. So what is it that you do in the morning to get ready for the day? So the first R that we are going to look and build upon is responsibility. So responsibility, getting the children to think about taking ownership for those choices that they make, both the good and the bad. Now in the On Your Marks workshop we looked at priorities, and to do this we used the illustration of a vase. So we got them to think about what are those really important things that they need to make sure they do, like eating and sleeping and drinking. What are those marbles, those things that are the hobbies that are good to include in their lives, and what are those extra things like TV or phone that they can add as well. So that was thinking about priorities, and in this workshop we are going to be building upon that and getting them to think about taking responsibility for how they use their time. So the activity for responsibility is around this idea of time management. So as a group leader you will be given a timetable and you'll also be given a list of a number of different activities, and as a group you have to work out how you're going to manage your time, how you're going to fit them all into the week. So your role as a group leader is to be able to help the children work this out and facilitate a discussion amongst them. So you're to write it on your laminated timetable where they think they can manage to fit everything in, and then in their booklets there is an empty timetable, and that is for the children to think about what it's going to look like for their week, how can they manage their time and how can they fit in their different activities. So the second R that we're going to look at and build upon is resilience. So the resilience is our ability to be able to bounce back from difficulties, but it's not just about bouncing back. It's how can we learn, how can we grow, how can we develop, how can we change from those difficulties that we go through. Resilience isn't something that's fixed, it's something, again, that can be built, it can be developed, which is why it's important getting these children thinking about what is resilience and how can they build it. Now, as part of this resilience, we're going to watch a video clip by Cliff Young, who ran a marathon in Australia, and the story that goes with that and how it demonstrates resilience. So I'm going to let you have time to watch this clip, and at the end of this video, I want you to be thinking, what does this show about resilience? How can resilience be built?
Hello friends. We all know a marathon is one of the longest and hardest races a person can run. But did you hear about the ultra marathon they used to have in Australia? It was 544 miles from Melbourne to Sydney. It attracted as many as 150 world-class athletes. But then something happened that no one would ever forget. In 1983, a 61-year-old potato farmer named Cliff Young decided to enter the race. People were very amused because he had on rubber galoshes over his boots. And when the race began and all the runners took off, sure enough, old Cliff was left behind, shuffling along very slowly, but he was shuffling very persistently. Normally, during this 7-day race, the runners would go about 18 hours running and then they'd sleep for 6 hours. But nobody ever told Cliff that. When the other runners stopped to rest during the night, Cliff just kept on running. Some people were afraid old Cliff was going to have a heart attack, and they were asking the race organizers to show mercy and stop the crazy old man, but he would have none of it. Each day, he was gaining on the pack, because when they were sleeping, he was plodding along. During the last night of the race, Cliff passed all of these world-class athletes. Not only was Cliff able to run that 544-mile race without dying, he won, beating all the other racers by 9 hours, breaking the record and becoming a national hero in the process. What's really amazing is when they told him that he had won the $10,000 prize, he looked confused and said he didn't know there was a prize, and he decided to share it with the other runners. When asked how he was able to run all night long, Cliff responded that he grew up on a farm where they had about 2,000 head of cattle, and because they couldn't afford horses, he used to have to round them up on foot, sometimes running 2 and 3 days non-stop. So, throughout the race, he just imagined he was chasing after the cows and trying to outrun a storm. Old Cliff's secret was to keep on running while others were sleeping.
So the third art that we're going to look at is role models. So a role model is someone who we look to, who inspires us, who teaches us. And I know in my life I've had a number of people who have been significant role models to me. It might be a teacher, a mentor, a family member, a sibling. And what we want to do is facilitate a discussion with these children about role models, how to be one, and who people might be. So in your packs, you will have a number of different people, celebrities who might be considered role models. And what you need to do is you need to read their stories to the children, get them thinking about the qualities, some of the positives, some of the negatives, some of the things that they might be looking for in a role model. And then, as part of the activity, the children need to pick someone who is a role model for them. They might pick a parent, they might pick a sibling. And what they need to do is they need to write down the qualities that they see in that person, and then they need to choose one of those qualities that they want to develop for themselves. Now, it's important to say that actually it's something that can be developed, it's something that can be built over time. So your role in this is really just to facilitate that discussion around role models. So the aim of the Get Set workshop has been to help get the children to think about what it is to be responsible, what it is to be resilient, and what it is to be a good role model. Now we're going to leave each of the children with a yellow stretchy man just to help remind them of what it is to be resilient, and hopefully remind them of some of the skills and the tools that they have learned from the Get Set workshop. So as we prepare for the Get Set workshops, there are just 3 top tips that I want to leave us with, and they are room, remember, and ripple. So firstly, room. I was once asked the question, what is it that I want to bring into a room? And as we go into those classrooms, as we go into those schools, we are ambassadors for Christ. What is it that we want to bring? Well, we want to bring that joy, we want to bring that smile, we want to bring that enthusiasm, we want to bring that person who takes notice of that child who perhaps is sitting on their own. We want to be those people, we want to be ambassadors for Christ, and each one of us has something to bring. So what is it that you want to bring when you walk into that room? So room. And secondly, remember. So we want to remember, we want to learn the children's names as best as we can, especially those that are within our group. Learning a child's name is simple, yet it makes them feel so valued, and it could be the difference between them engaging or disengaging with the activity. So remember. And lastly, ripple. So that ripple effect, to reinforce what is being said from the front, to reinforce them to being quiet, to listening, to engaging, to putting their pencils down, just reinforcing what is being said, that ripple effect. And so those are just 3 top tips that I just want to leave you with as we prepare for the Get Set workshops. I just really want to encourage us to be praying for the workshops, to be praying for the classrooms, the schools, the teachers that we're going to meet, the children that we're going to be working alongside. And let's be expectant for what God is going to do in and through us as we continue to do these workshops and as we build these relationships.